Keanu Reeves has always been admired for his talent and humility. But what many people don't know is how far he is willing to go to help those in need. When she heard about the challenges veterans face upon returning from service, homelessness, unemployment, and the invisible scars of war, she decided to step in. Keanu didn't just donate money, he took it upon himself to organize a transformative event that gave dozens of veterans the opportunity to rebuild their lives. This is the untold story of how the kindest star in Hollywood became a hero to those who once served as heroes themselves. The story began with a simple but sincere conversation. During a charity gala in Los Angeles, Keanu started a chat with a retired veteran named James, who told him about the difficulties of adjusting to civilian life. James recounted his battle with the difficulty of finding a job and the stigma veterans often face. Deeply moved, Keanu couldn't help but feel that he needed to do something meaningful. Keanu Reeves was alone in his studio, the city lights of Los Angeles flashing through the window. James' words echoed in his mind, "We gave everything out there, and now we are forgotten here." It wasn't just a passing comment, it was a revelation that impacted Keanu deeply. "I couldn't ignore it and I wasn't going to let it go. This is bigger than me," he thought. "But I have to start somewhere." That he didn't open his laptop, his hands were shaking slightly as he typed. The statistics were alarming. Almost 40,000 veterans were homeless. More than 30% were struggling with ST. And thousands more were facing unemployment, family breakdown and isolation. One story caught his attention, a veteran who had been evicted and was now living in his car with his 2 children. Keanu leaned back, looking at the ceiling. The weight of these stories was suffocating. Suddenly, he slammed the computer shut. "This can't just be numbers," he told himself. "These are lives." He took a notebook and started writing. At first, her thoughts were scattered: job fairs, therapy sessions, support groups. But then the pieces started to fall into place. What if there was a place where they could find everything they needed? A day just for them, to rebuild and renew themselves. The name felt natural, revealed and renew. The next morning, Keanu made his first call to Maria, the director of a local community center that worked with veterans. His voice sounded cautious as he answered. "Mr. Reeves, it's an honor, but what exactly are you looking to do?" That he did not explain his vision with growing enthusiasm. A full day of resources, job training, therapy, financial counseling and more, all brought together by a sense of community and hope. But Mary's tone remained skeptical. "Look, I've heard promises from big names before," she said. "They come, make a big fuss, and disappear as soon as the cameras do. How do I know this won't be the same?" The question hit Keanu harder than he expected. He paused before answering, his voice steady. "Because I'm not just going to write a check, Maria. I will be there, every step of the way. This is not about my name. It's about them." After a long silence, Maria finally answered, "It's okay. Let's see if he's serious." That I didn't know I needed help. During the following days, he contacted all the actors, business leaders and philanthropists. Some joined immediately, inspired by his passion. Others were reluctant, questioning the feasibility of an event of such magnitude. One conversation stood out. A producer whom Keanu trusted expressed his doubts. "Keanu, this sounds great on paper. But do you have any idea how complicated it will be? The logistics alone could take months." Keanu's answer was simple. "If it takes months, then it takes months. These people have waited long enough. I'm not going to cut corners. Gradually, the support began to grow. Companies promised jobs, therapists volunteered their time, and donations poured in to cover the costs. But even when the momentum grew, he faced no other challenge: finding the right place. The perfect place was not easy to find. Most of the spaces were too small or too expensive. Days of searching turned into weeks, and the team began to lose hope. One night, Keanu received a call from Maria. "I know a place," he said. "It's not glamorous, but it could work." Keanu visited the place the next day, an abandoned large warehouse on the outskirts of the city. It was far from perfect, with peeling paint and cracked floors. But as Keanu walked through space, he saw his potential. "This is it," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "We'll make it work." In the midst of planning, Keanu visited a veterans' shelter to meet some of the people he hoped to help. There he met Sarah, a single mother of two who had served 2 tours in the army. She was living out of her car, struggling to find a job that suited her. "Did your 3-year-old daughter pull the sleeve? Are you going to help my mom?" That he did not bend down, looking into her eyes. "Yes," he said gently. "I promise." That moment became a turning point. Keanu was no longer just planning an event, he was now fighting for people like Sarah and her family. Keanu's vision for the event continued to evolve. He insisted on creating a storytelling corner where veterans could share their experiences. "Sometimes just being heard can change everything," he explained to his team. He also hosted live music performances, interactive art workshops, and food from veteran-owned businesses. "This isn't just about troubleshooting," he told his team. "It's about reminding them that life can still be beautiful." A few weeks after the event, disaster struck. One of the main sponsors withdrew, citing logistical concerns. Suddenly, the budget was thousands of dollars short, and the team was in a panic. Keanu refused to let that derail the project. "We'll figure it out," he said in a calm but firm voice. He personally covered the missing funds, refusing to fail veterans. "This is not optional," he told his team. "This is going to happen." As the final pieces fell into place, Keanu stood in the now transformed warehouse. Stalls filled the space, offering resources and opportunities. A stage was set up for speeches and presentations. Banners with the message "Revealed and Renew" hung proudly over the entrance. Keanu took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This was not just an event, it was a promise to every veteran who had ever felt forgotten. "This is for them," he whispered. "And this is just the beginning." The morning after Keanu Reeves finished his vision for Revealed at Renew, he sat in his kitchen with a cup of coffee and his notebook open on the table. His enthusiasm was tempered by a daunting reality: he couldn't do it alone. To turn his idea into reality, he needed resources, connections, and people who believed in his mission as deeply as he did. But when Keanu picked up the phone to make the first call, doubt took over his mind. Would anyone take it seriously? Would you think it was just another celebrity looking for a promotion? He shook his head. "This isn't about me. It's about them." With that, he dialed the first number. Her first call was to Maria, the director of the community center. His skepticism during their previous conversation was still ringing in his ears, but Keanu wasn't one to shy away from a challenge. "Maria," he began with a sincere tone, "I need your help." She sighed on the other end of the line. "Keanu, I'll be honest, I've seen too many great promises that come to nothing. Why should I believe that this will be different? Keanu paused for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Because this is not just an idea for me. I've been thinking about this all night, reflecting on every James and Sarah out there. I'm not looking to be a hero, I'm looking to be useful. I will do whatever it takes to make this real. His silence lasted for a few seconds that seemed like an eternity. Then, finally, it's okay. Let's get to work. With the tentative support Maria has secured, Keanu turned to her Hollywood network. Over the years, he had built a reputation not only as an actor, but as someone who genuinely cared about people. He decided to use that goodwill now. His first call was to a producer friend who had always supported charitable causes. Keanu explained his vision to him, his voice firm but urgent. "We have the opportunity to make a real difference," he said, "but I can't do it alone. Are you in?" To his relief, the producer accepted without hesitation. "I will donate to help cover the costs, and I will contact my network. You have something big on your hands, which you don't." But not all the calls were easy. A business leader was direct. "Keanu, I respect what you're trying to do, but this sounds like a logistical nightmare. How do you plan to carry it out?" Keanu's response was firm. "Taking one step at a time. I don't have all the answers yet, but I won't stop until I have them." His conviction was enough to win his tentative support. A few days after starting its dissemination, Keanu received a surprising call from an old friend, a top actor known for his philanthropy. "I heard what you're doing," they said. "It's ambitious, but I think it's exactly what's needed." With me. The actor not only promised a significant donation, but also offered to perform at the event, providing an appeal that would guarantee media attention. This credibility boost gave Keanu the impetus he needed to reach out to larger sponsors. As the team began to form, tensions began to surface. Maria, although supportive, expressed her concerns during one of their meetings. "Keanu, this is all moving along quickly, but we need to be realistic. What happens if we don't get enough funding? What if the attendance is not what we expect? Did your 3-year-old daughter pull the sleeve? Are you going to help my mom?" Keanu leaned forward, his expression serious but calm. "Maria, I understand. This won't be easy. But I'd rather try and fail than do nothing. These people have been ignored for too long. We owe it to them to make this work." His words silenced the room. Maria nodded slowly. "It's okay," he said. "Let's do it." With a growing team of followers, Keanu's vision began to gain momentum. Local businesses pledged to provide food and supplies. A transportation company offered free transportation for veterans to attend the event. A tech company promised to conduct job interviews on the spot. That he didn't personally visit some of these businesses to thank them, shaking hands with everyone from CEOs to warehouse workers. "This is not just my event," he told them. "It's ours. Every piece counts." As the momentum grew, Keanu made sure to keep the mission personal. He spent nights visiting shelters and community centers, talking face-to-face with veterans. One night, she met a man named Paul, who had served in the Navy and now lived in a cramped little apartment. "I don't need charity," Paul said, in a bitter voice. "I just need a chance." What did not nod? "That's exactly what we're trying to give you," he replied. An opportunity to show the world what you are capable of. Poe's reserved expression softened. Are you really serious? Absolutely, he said no. Just when everything seemed to be falling into place, a major sponsor pulled out, citing concerns about the viability of the event. The loss of funds threatened to derail the entire project. The team that he was not on the verge of collapse, but he refused to be carried away by panic. We'll make it work, he told them. I will cover the shortfall myself if necessary. This is not optional. His determination rekindled the morale of the team. Maria, now fully engaged, stepped up to help secure small donations from local businesses. We are not going to give up, he said. By the end of the third week, Rebuild in Reno had gone from being an idea to becoming a movement. The event was not only attracting local attention, the media and social media started talking about Keanu's efforts. Volunteers came in droves, volunteering their time and skills. Keanu watched as his vision took shape, each piece falling into place. But for him, the real victory was not in the growing tension, but in the stories of people like Paul and Maria, who were beginning to believe in the possibility of change. This is not just an event, Keanu said during a team meeting. It's an opportunity to show what's possible when we all come together. And this is just the beginning. The sun rose over the city as Anu re-entered the empty warehouse that would soon house Rivru. The dust was floating in the rays of light that came through the broken windows, and the space felt cold and empty. But Keanu couldn't see the cracks in the floor or the peeling paint. I saw a place full of potential, a place that would soon be transformed into a beacon of hope. This is it, he said quietly to Maria, who was standing next to him. She looked at him skeptically. Keanu, it will take a miracle for this to work, he said. He smiled slightly, his voice steady. Then let's make a miracle happen. The first step was to clean the space. The volunteers arrived the next morning, armed with brooms, buckets, and an overwhelming sense of purpose. Keanu was not just a representative figure, he was in the middle of everything, scrubbing walls, carrying debris, and laughing with the team. Man, I haven't worked this hard since my first acting job, he joked, earning the group laughs. Maria was watching him with a mixture of admiration and disbelief. You know, he said, most people in your position would just write a check and leave it at that. Keanu shrugged, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Writing a check doesn't change lives. Introduce yourself if you do. By the end of the first week, the warehouse was unrecognizable. The walls were freshly painted, the floors were sparkling, and banners with the revealed and Renee logo hung proudly. But there was still a lot to be done. Keanu and his team worked tirelessly to finalize the structure of the event. They divided the warehouse into different zones. The Opportunity Zone, a space full of stands from local businesses ready to hire veterans. The Wellness Corner, private rooms for therapy sessions and mental health resources. The Family Center, a child care and resource area for families of veterans. The Creative Zone, an area for art therapy, writing workshops, and music sessions. The Stage, a central platform for live performances, speeches, and storytelling. That he did not insist on a personal touch in every detail. It's not just about resources, he said during a planning meeting. It's about creating a space where people feel valued. Just 2 weeks before the event, disaster struck. A shipment of supplies, tables, chairs, and equipment was delayed indefinitely. The team panicked. Maria was pacing back and forth in the warehouse, her frustration evident. "Without those supplies, this whole thing falls apart," he said. Keanu remained calm. "It's okay," he said, slapping his hands together. "Let's change the plan. What do we have locally?" He spent the next 48 hours personally calling rental companies, hardware stores, and even local schools. His persistence paid off. At the end of the weekend, the warehouse was equipped with everything necessary. Maria shook her head in amazement. "You really don't give up, do you?" That he didn't smile. Not when it matters. In the days leading up to the event, Keanu visited shelters and veterans centers to personally invite them. One visit stood out. She met an older veteran named Robert, who had been homeless for more than a decade. "I've seen people like you come and go," Robert said, his tone reserved. "Why should I believe that this will be different?" Keanu knelt down next to him, looking into his eyes. "Because I won't leave when the cameras leave," he said. "This isn't about me, it's about you. And I won't stop until you believe in that." Robert didn't answer right away, but while he wasn't leaving, he heard the man mutter, "Maybe I'll stop by and take a look." With only a few days remaining, the team focused on creating an unforgettable experience. Keanu called his Hollywood friends, getting performances from well-known musicians and celebrity appearances, who shared his passion for helping veterans. He also worked closely with Maria to finalize the program. Every hour was meticulously planned to balance the practical with the inspiring, job interviews in the morning, therapy sessions in the afternoon, and live music to close the day. Keanu's attention to detail extended even to the smallest things. He made sure the event featured veteran-owned food trucks, comfortable seating areas, and even small thank you gifts for each attendee. "This is not just an event," he told his team. "It's a message, you guys matter. Their sacrifices matter." The night before the event, he was not alone in the warehouse, now completely transformed. The space vibrated with a quiet energy, volunteers making last-minute adjustments, banners waving gently in the breeze. Maria came closer to him, her voice soft. "I didn't think we could pull it off," he admitted. "But look at him. It's amazing." That he didn't smile. "It's not just us," he said. "It is everyone who believed that this was possible. And tomorrow, it will change lives." Before leaving that night, Kay nurtured a volunteer by hanging a banner. It was Robert, the older veteran I had met before. Their eyes met, and Robert felt her. "I thought it might help," Robert said gruffly. Keanu's smile widened. "I'm glad you're here," he replied. As he did not leave the warehouse, the city lights reflected in his rearview mirror, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The journey had been anything but easy, but every challenge had been worth it. Tomorrow was not just about organizing an event, but about fulfilling a promise to the people who needed it most. "This is for them," he whispered to himself. "And it's just the beginning." The excitement around Revealed in Reno peaked when the day of the press conference arrived. Media from all over the country descended on the venue, eager to hear Keanu Reeves in person. The headlines had been a mixture of skepticism and hope, some praising his efforts as revolutionary, while others questioned if this wasn't just another celebrity trying to fix something to get publicity. That I didn't know I had to face these questions head-on. This was not just about launching an event, but about showing that their commitment was real. The main hall of the community center was full. Journalists occupied the front rows with their notebooks and cameras, while community leaders and volunteers filled the back. Benches with the text "Rebuild and Renew, a second chance for veterans" adorned the walls, and the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Keanu took the stage, his posture calm but determined. Dressed simply in a black suit, he approached the podium, adjusted the microphone, and scanned the crowd. The room fell silent. "What I did today is not about me," she began, her voice steady. "It's about the people who have been ignored, forgotten, and left behind. But before we talk about that, let me say this: mistakes don't define us, what we do after them do." The crowd listened intently, while he didn't talk about his motivations. He did not sugarcoat his words, acknowledging that some might see his actions as a publicity stunt. "I understand," he said, looking directly at the cameras. "It's easy to doubt intentions in a world where promises are made and broken every day. But this isn't about headlines or saving face. It's about lives, about real people who deserve better." When question time opened, the skepticism in the room became palpable. A journalist from a national media raised his hand. "Mr. Reeves, some have called this initiative a reaction to criticism. How do you respond to accusations that this is just damage control for your image?" Keanu paused, letting the weight of the question settle in. Then, with a calm but firm tone, he replied, "If this were about me, I would not be here, in front of you. I wouldn't be devoting my time, my money, and my energy to something that doesn't have a direct benefit for me. This is about them, the veterans who gave everything for us. It's about creating a space where they can find hope and a way forward." Another journalist intervened. "How do you plan to ensure the sustainability of this program? Many initiatives like this disappear once the media attention fades." Keanu leaned forward, gripping the edges of the podium. "This is not a one-time thing," he said, his voice with renewed intensity. "We have established partnerships with local businesses, nonprofits, and mental health facilities, so that this will continue long after today. And I'll be right here, making sure he stays strong." Halfway through the press conference, Maria took the stage to share her perspective. "When Keanu first approached us, I admit, I was skeptical," she said, looking at him with a small smile. "We've seen celebrities come and go, making promises they don't keep. But who hasn't been here every step of the way? He's not just funding this, he's building it, brick by brick. This is not a publicity stunt. This is real." His words were received with applause, and the expression that he did not soften. The endorsement of someone who had doubted him weighed more than any incumbent. As the press conference drew to a close, the atmosphere became personal. A woman in the audience raised her hand, her voice shaking. "My son was a Marine," she said, tears streaming down her face. "He was hit by a drunk driver 2 years ago. To see him take responsibility for his actions, it means more than he imagines. Thank you for using your platform for good." Keanu came down from the stage to approach her, his expression full of empathy. "I am so sorry for your loss," she said, her voice low. "And thanks for sharing. Stories like yours are the reason I'm doing this. No one should have to go through that." The moment was raw and unplanned, but it resonated deeply with everyone present. Social media was on almost immediately, with attendees sharing videos and photos of the interaction. When the event was about to end, there was a familiar face in the back of the room, the man in the black sedan. She had crossed paths with this man weeks ago, the night the seed of revealed and rue was planted. Keanu came closer, extending his hand. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said with a faint smile. The man hesitated before shaking her hand. "I wanted to see if you were serious about all this," he admitted. "And I admit I'm impressed. You didn't just talk, you acted." What nodded to him? "I told you I'd do it right." The man's expression softened. "You did it." The press conference was not only to announce the initiative, but it ignited a movement. Within days, other celebrities and community leaders began offering support for similar programs in their own neighborhoods. Social media exploded with hashtags like Rebuild and Renew and Accountability Matters. One particularly viral tweet said, "Keanu Reeves didn't just apologize, he took action." This is what responsibility looks like. In the weeks that followed, Keanu's work did not stop. She attended meetings, spoke at schools, and even accompanied volunteers to make sure the program ran smoothly. He was not satisfied with letting others carry the load, he was completely involved. When a journalist asked him why he was so involved, the answer that it was not simple, because I had a second chance. And not everyone has it. I'm not going to waste it. For many, the press conference marked a turning point, not only for Revio de Rue, but for how public figures approach responsibility. Keanu's actions proved that a mistake could be transformed into a force for good. Maria summed it up best during an interview a week later. Keanu could have paid a fine and moved on. But instead, he showed up, got the job done, and made a difference. That's something we can all learn from. The morning of the Revealed and Renew event dawned bright and clear, with a cool breeze that carried the excitement all over the city. Keanu Reeves arrived at the transformed warehouse just as the first rays of sunlight were streaming through the newly installed windows. The volunteers were already busy making final preparations, setting up stands, arranging chairs, and rehearsing schedules. The once abandoned space now radiated hope, a testament to weeks of hard work and unwavering determination. That he wasn't standing at the entrance, hands in pockets, observing everything around him. "This is it," he said softly to Maria, who joined him with a clipboard in her hand. "It's finally happening." She nodded, her voice tinged with emotion. "You did this, you didn't. Did you really make it?" "No," he replied, his eyes scanning the scene full of activity. "We did this." The first buses arrived shortly after 9 in the morning, bringing veterans from all over the city. Many came down with hesitant steps, their faces reflecting a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Keanu made sure to personally greet as many attendees as he could, shaking hands and offering warm smiles. "Welcome," he said to a man in a shabby jacket. "We're glad you're here." The man nodded but kept his expression neutral. "I've seen events like this before," he muttered. "They talk a lot, but nothing changes." Who did not hold his gaze, his voice steady. "This is not about talking. Stay, you'll see." Inside the warehouse, the Opportunity Zone was the first stop for many attendees. Rows of booths filled the space, each manned by local business representatives, eager to hire vets. Job descriptions and applications littered the tables, and the air was filled with conversation. One assistant, a young woman named Rachel, nervously approached a recruiter at the position of a technology company. He had been out of work for more than a year and doubted that his skills were still relevant. The recruiter, noticing her hesitation, offered her a kind smile. "Your experience matters," he said. "Let's talk about how we can leverage your leadership skills in our company." Keanu walked around the area, stopping to observe the interactions. When he saw Rachel sitting with the recruiter, her posture more relaxed than before, he smiled. This is what it's all about, he thought. In a quieter section of the warehouse, the wellness corner offered a sanctuary for those seeking mental health support. Private rooms hosted one-on-one counseling sessions, while group therapy circles offered a safe space to share stories. Keanu visited the area mid-morning, taking care not to interrupt, but wanting to show his support. She spoke briefly with one of the therapists, who shared her observations. Some of them haven't talked about their experiences in years, he said. Today, they are finally opening up. Who did not nod, his expression serious. Thank you for being here. You are giving them something invaluable. Meanwhile, the family center was full of laughter and activity. The children played in a designated area with toys and games, while their parents accessed resources designed for veterans' families. Keanu spent some time there too, sitting cross-legged on the floor, to help a group of kids put together a puzzle. A little boy, about 6 years old, looked at him and asked, "Are you a soldier too?" Who did not laugh, shaking his head. "No, dude, I'm not. But I'm here to help people who are." The boy smiled. "You're pretty cool for an adult." He laughed, ruffling the boy's hair. "Thanks, kid. You're not bad either." In the creativity zone, the veterans found a different way to heal. Easels and paintings invited them to express themselves through art, while writing workshops offered a way to channel their stories into words. Keanu stopped to observe a veteran named Paul, whom he had met at a shelter weeks earlier, standing in front of a blank canvas, with a paintbrush in his hand. Paul looked at Keanu, a mixture of anxiety and determination on his face. "I don't even know where to start," he admitted. "Anywhere," Keanu said. "There is no wrong way to tell your story." Paul hesitated, then dipped his brush into a vibrant blue and took the first stroke. Hours later, her canvas was filled with intense colors and bold lines, a visual representation of hope regaining space in her life. The day's events culminated on the stage in the center of the warehouse. Keanu took the microphone as the crowd gathered, his voice steady and warm. "It's not about me today," he began, running his gaze over the faces in front of him. "It's about you guys. It's about recognizing their sacrifices, their struggles, and their strength. And it's about saying, loud and clear, that they are not forgotten." The audience erupted in applause, some standing up to cheer. The stage also hosted performances by musicians who offered their time, filling the room with energy and joy. The veterans shared their stories, some for the first time, and the crowd listened intently, their applause and words of encouragement echoing in space. When the event was about to end, Keanu found himself by the exit, saying goodbye to the attendees as they left. A man approached him, Robert, the older veteran, who had been skeptical from the beginning. Robert held out his hand, his expression softer than before. "You proved me wrong," he said simply. This mattered. Who did not shake his hand firmly, his voice calm. "I'm glad you came, Robert. And I'm glad it mattered." At the end of the day, the impact of Rebuild and Renew was undeniable. Dozens of veterans left with job offers, therapy plans, or simply a renewed sense of hope. Social networks were filled with posts and photos of the attendees, and the media covered the event with headlines such as, "Keanu Reeves brings hope to the forgotten heroes." That I wasn't watching from the side, feeling the tiredness settle in, but with a full heart. Maria approached him with a wide smile. You made it, he said. No, Keanu replied, his gaze fixed on the crowd. We made it. Before the event ended, Keanu took the stage and made a sincere promise this would not be a one-time initiative. He pledged continued support, announcing the launch of a foundation dedicated to helping veterans reintegrate into society. The foundation would fund counseling services, job training, and emergency housing for those in need. The impact of the event was immediate. James, the veteran who first inspired Keanu, got a job with a tech company he met during the event. Others found housing assistance, enrolled in therapy, or discovered a purpose they hadn't felt in years. Keanu's foundation became a beacon of hope, and stories of his success began to spread across the country. Keanu Reeves didn't pretend to be a hero, he simply wanted to do whatever he could to make a difference. But his actions proved that kindness and determination could transform lives. For the veterans he helped, Keanu became more than a Hollywood star. He became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest acts of compassion can bring about profound change.